Plastering is a massive trade and there's so many people who want to learn it for themselves to either improve their home or take it up as a new career. So today I'm going to teach you how to plaster a wall from start to finish, designed for complete beginners. Blaine Gray here from Plastering for Beginners, and today we're going to talk about different techniques when you're plastering to get a nice smooth wall. We're going to talk about a few main things, and basically if you're starting out or anyone who's trying to learn, working on a small area to begin with. This is a small wall and this is going to be a little practice wall. If you've got a house, if you've got anywhere you want to learn, this is ideal because you want to practice as much techniques as you can in a small space. And the idea is we're going to talk about taking the plaster from the hawk, we're going to talk about applying the plaster, and we're going to talk about different ways to get it on. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using for the plastering. We've got one big mixing bucket, keep this nice and clean. This is what we're doing, mixing all our finished product, which is this. This is British Gypsum Multi-Finish, and this is what we're going to be using for our plastering today. You can also buy board finish, which is also by British Gypsum, which is a finished plaster, which is fine, it's good to use. I'm just going to be using this today. So they're the options you've got. I'll be using a hawk, or some people call it handboard. Got this, which is a bucket trowel. This is what we use to scoop the plaster onto the hawk. Got a trowel, 14 inch. And then we'll need two clean water buckets. This is what we'll be carrying the water into, and this one dirty bucket, this is what we'll be cleaning our tools with, cleaning the equipment with. So I'm also using this electric mixer. I highly advise you get a mixer just because to hand mix any plaster, it'd end up clumpy, it's hard to use, and generally the best way to plaster is with a smooth, consistent mix. You can buy these quite cheap, to be honest. I think you can get them from £40 to £80. Have a good look around, or if worse comes to worse, you can use an old drill with a head on, interchangeable head, say an SDS drill, or you could even hire one. But generally try and use a decent mixer for your mix, it's worth it. So always use clean water when you're mixing the plaster. I've got a bucket of clean water here, and always make sure your bucket's nice and clean. Give it a swill around, give it a little brush, I've already done that, and just make sure you're cleaning with mixing with clean conditions. So what you do, so I've got a full bag of plaster. For a full bag of plaster we'll need 12.5 litres of water, roughly. So you pour your water in first. And then I also give the mixer a little clean to keep the head. Stops getting any bits into the mix. Give it a little swirl. Don't pour all the bag in at once, do it in sections, helps keep it mixed nice, smooth, and stops it doing too much on the drill. Make sure you've mixed it thoroughly. You don't want any bits in the mix. Just check it, give it a little swirl, and just give it one more mix. Take the mixer, give it a tap. And then you just need to clean this with your cleaning bucket, and that's it. Okay, so a quick talk on the consistency. Obviously, you don't want it too sloppy yet you don't want it too thick. As you can see, when you put it on your trowel, it sits, it doesn't fall off the edge. You know, it's not too thick where it's too hard to put on the wall, yet it's not too sloppy where it's streaming everywhere. This is exactly what you want. A bit like Angel Delight, the chocolate one. Look at that, it looks lovely. That's how you want it. And the first thing I think you should really pick up on is taking the plaster from the hook. So the idea is you pull it down, you take it off that way. So throw it back in, smaller amount. Take your plaster, throw it down, clean your edge. And what you do is you pull it down like that and you take it up. That way you've got a nice controlled amount of plaster on your trowel. Can you see that? That's the first thing you should always practice. And I think that is one of the biggest things to learn when you're plastering, is taking the plaster from your hook. It's a massive thing and it catches everyone out, it really does. So that is the other thing. And number two is to make sure you can position your plaster on different angles. I've got three sides of the wall here. I've got the left side, the right side, I've got the bottom edge. And basically, depending on where I'm starting from, it's depending where you want to put your plaster. And this is going to be the case all the way through plastering. This is something you should really learn. From starting from the left side, I want the plaster on the left side of the trowel. So you're taking it from there, put it on the left. Going in, troweling it out. That's number one. Now, the upper position is we start at the bottom again. You want it at the left side of your hook, so you can come down and come up. And basically, most of the time it will be from the left, but if we're starting from the right side, you want the plaster on your right side of your trowel. So this time, turn your trowel on its side, do it the other way. That way we can start here and then come in. So I think the biggest thing to practice, I know this sounds stupid, is getting your trowel prepared and getting the plaster from your hook onto the different positions of your trowel. Because people fumble, you'll spill the plaster, you'll waste time. This is a major, major thing to learn because it is monumental. As people think, oh, it's silly, it's about getting on the wall. It's not, it's about saving time and making sure you've got the plaster where you want it. And this is why these practice walls are so perfect. So let's try in a bigger motion. Again, when I'm scooping, I've got the trowel in the left hand with the hook, and then with the scooper I'm ploughing it on. And that's that. So now I'm going to start from the right. Right side. Now I'm going to start from the left. See how much time that's saving? We're getting right, left, and we're going from the bottom. And that is a big technique to learn in plastering, because that is something you'll be doing all the time, and that is something that will slow you down. This is for beginners, this is for people who already do plastering. This is the thing to learn. It's not about getting it on as fast as you can, it's about positioning the plaster where you want it. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is getting used to getting the plaster flat. So coming in, you want to apply it if you want, and then you're taking a regular line behind you. And this is all to do with trowel positions. So watch. Again, got my trowel, left hand, hook, left, bucket trowel, right hand, scooping it on. So what you do, just bring it in, come up, go as high as you can, and now what you'll see here, you see section which isn't as smooth. Come back on yourself, trowel that line out. This area now is smooth. I've got a line here, don't worry about that. Trowel it out, come up, come up, come up. Come back, trowel that line out. This section is done. Now what we've got the right side of the wall left. This is where we practice what we did before. Take the plaster from the right side of the trowel, come into the edge, practice troweling right to left. That is a big thing to learn. because what we're doing, again, we're positioning the plaster in the right place, starting from the right side of the wall, plastering. This is tips that you need to learn, because this is what's going to speed you up, and this is what's going to make you a good plasterer. See, that wall is smooth because I'm taking the time. I've got the lines here, come back, take them out. This way, when it comes to future stages, we haven't got to worry about this because it's flat. Now I've got this missing, left side of the trowel. Take more plaster. Again, build, and as time goes on, build up the amount of plaster you got in the hawk. At the beginning, keep a small amount, and as we go, we're going to make it bigger. Then we can just scoop it on, easy. Now we've practiced that. Get this bit. You always want to start from the top. So if you're right-handed, you start from the top left. And if you're left-handed, you start from the top right and work across. But as you can see, we're always starting on the top. I'm right-handed, so I'm working top left, working top all the way across to the wall, go back to the bottom, and then work left to right. And that's how you do it, and that's the motion you should be following if you're plastering. Later on down the line, you can start making your own rules up, but at the beginning, it's great to follow a routine. It's essential, and you need to do it. So as you can see, taking the plaster from the top half of the trowel, and then working down from the top, making sure you want to squeeze as much plaster in at the top between your wall and your ceiling as you can. You don't really want to be messing around with that. You want to get it from the beginning. There's a knack to it, but you will get it with time. It's a nice enough thing to watch. And as you can see, work all the way along the cross there. But that's it. Now, when you're working from the edges, take your plaster, and as you can see, I'm digging it from the left side of the wall and pushing out. This is what you should always do when you're working from the edge of the wall. Always take the plaster to the edge and then work outwards. And then, as you'll see in a bit, that's when you start doing the upward motion when you're working for the majority of the wall. But when you're working edges, always take the plaster to the corner of the wall first. It just makes it a lot easier. You won't get the upstroke. You won't manage to fill it all if you don't do it this way. As you can see, you will see me do a different movement in a minute. But just take your time, make sure you're filling all the spots, and then beware of your plug sockets. What I do is I knock them out at the end, and I'll show you that at the end of this video. But now just be aware of them. Don't try and fill them up. You don't want to mess the electricians up. They're scary men. They'll come and chase you down. Look, as you can see now, we're coming away from the corner. And now we take the plaster, load up a trowel, and then literally take it from the bottom, long sweeps reaching up. This is when you get your speed in. This is when the wall starts getting filled in a lot faster. Big sweeps, working from the bottom all the way up to as far as you can reach. For me, I'm only a midget, so not very high, but but do your best. And as you can see, you curve it at the top. Just make sure that when you're doing your plaster, it's easier to blend into what you leave in from behind. Now here's the biggest tip you'll ever learn. Always have a brew on the go. Okay, so you've had your brew, you're hydrated. Now we're going to start flattening this wall. What you've got, what someone said to me, a subscriber said, they always thought the wall was completely flat when you applied a plaster. That's not the case. You only get this wall flat with time. It's all to do with the process and how long you leave the plaster. You're only going to get this flat as time goes on. So don't get the plaster on thinking it's not perfectly flat now. Leave it apply a second coat, and then you've got to give it time. And if you want to know the full process to plastering, wait till the end of this video and I'll give you an opportunity to learn the full process. So let's get to this bit here. What you want to do, starting in the top left, you're keeping your trowel close to the wall and we're flattening the plaster. You want to push your trowel into the plaster, starting from the corner, either left or right, and you're pushing in. See, now we're starting to really get rid of these ripples, lines. Again, you're not going to get it flat on this trowel either. You've got another 4 trowels ahead of you to go. And like I said, if you want to know the full process, wait till the end of the video and I'll give you a chance to learn it. But for now, trowel close to the wall, and we're really pushing, getting them ripples out with our trowels, and learn to work with the other side as well. Same principle, trowel close. And what you'll find is you'll collect excess plaster. We call this fat. And what you do, if you've got any holes, any areas where you've got a bit of low plaster, dig it in and then fill it. But basically, the main point here is to practice working left to right, also work up and down. But the main points are, the biggest thing is timings. It's only going to get flat as time goes on with plastering. Don't get this on thinking it's not perfectly flat, it's not ready to go. This happens as time goes. This is when we get the wall flatter and flatter as the plaster sets. So remember, always keep your trowel close to the wall. A lot of pressure because we're forcing the plaster into itself. And then just practice getting that wall flat. And again, this is why a practice wall is crucial, because you learn to take these elements on board and try them in a small area rather than a huge area where it's very stressful. It's best to work where you've got tight corners. Now we can practice working with 2 angles next to each other. What you'll learn as you're doing this, you've got to really take your time, go to the inner corner and then work from there. If you rush it, you'll stab the wall, make lines. Be a nightmare. You've really got to take your time. That's why these practice areas are so crucial in making your plastering as best as you can do. Rather than big walls, they're easy. We want to work with angles, wet angles, and you want to practice your trowel positions. Again, use your fat, fill in any holes, and that's another tip on how to get better as a plasterer. Right, see you in a minute for another tip. We're going to wait, I'm going to flatten the rest of this wall, then we're going to continue with the process and work on some more. Right, here's a big shack tip. Look at the edges. You see where the residue plaster has hit the dry plaster? This is the first flatten. This is me troweling the wall at early stages, and I say get these away as early as possible. You don't want them to be in your way, you don't want them to get into your plaster. It's a problem when hard plaster gets into your new plaster. It creates issues, creates drag marks and problems. Get rid of them early. So now, head of your trowel, very tip. Clean them up. Get rid of them all the way down. By the way, if you can hear like a whistle going down, this is Coco. Coco? Say hello. There she is. So if you heard a little whistle and bell going down, that was her. So anyway, back to the plastering. This is what we're doing. Using the head of your trowel to cut away the excess plaster. And like I said, you want to do this early. You don't want that getting in your way. From there, once you've done it, trowel right into the corner, pull out. Using the tip of your trowel, pull down. Nice straight line, pull out. Pull out. Dig it right into the corner. You want a nice, clean, crisp angle from the start. You don't want to be messing about, you want it now. Pull out. Pull out. Pull out. Starts with this. Keeping your angles tidy, getting rid of excess plaster. Same on the beads. Scraping back. See that? Head of your trowel, scraping the bead. Side, side. This all comes with practice of learning to control your trowel, but you need to learn this. So that's another one. Let's crack on. Okay, so we are 1 hour 46 minutes into plastering. The plaster's starting to go hard. As you can see, we're getting it flatter. But what happens, the further you get down a plastering route, the bigger the risk. As it hardens, this is where you've got to start getting everything flat. And obviously as it starts to set, this is where things can go wrong. So what I'm going to do is show you who your best friend is in plastering. You've got one tool you should always keep in your left hand at this stage. Always, always, always. And I'm going to show you what. So here's your best friend. This is a water brush. If you've been plastering a while, you know everything about it. But what you do need to know is you need to keep this in your hand all the time at this stage. Plaster's going hard. We need to lubricate it, we need to soften it up, liven it up so we can start getting it flat. But more importantly, getting the corners done as well. The other thing, always keep your trowel clean. It's got a lot of stains on it at the moment. Needs to give it a bit of a bath. But always clean it up, always keep it clean, because when it comes to angles, getting clean crisp angles, you don't want any excess plaster on the edge of your trowel. Sticks into the wall, creates drag marks, and then you start having troubles. This is always in your left hand. Water on the left side. And we're always starting from the corner when you're brushing. Especially when you've got a wet angle like this. Start slowly going to the corner, pull out, slowly, pull out. Again. Now we're starting to create a nice angle on your wet angle. We're not using water too early because what you do is you create a bit of a plaster bath. You need to do it further down the line. Like I said, it's about 1 hour and 46 in. That's when you start wetting your corners. And that's when you take your time, go slowly into the edge, slowly, and then pull out. If you're starting out though, don't do wet angles. Here's another tip: if you're new to the game plastering, focus on one wall at a time. This is tricky. If you've been plastering a while, this is when you start to hit it, and that's when you start wetting the edges. But if you are new to the game, avoid that. Just do one wall at a time, because you'll just cause yourself issues. If you're starting out, all you're expected to do is one wall, like this. Similar, use it as a practice wall and get good at it. Next thing is knowing when to use your flexi trowel. So that's your next part. That comes into the next point, which is tools. Big rule, don't forget your brew. Nice. Okay, so one of the things you've seen me doing, I'm doing a lot of troweling left to right. What you want to learn for beginners and or plasterers actually is to work against the traditional way. So I've been doing a lot of left to right, like this. But what happens is the plaster's only getting flattened one way. What you now need to do is mix it up. If that is the case, now where you want to go, if you have been working left to right, you want to go up. Up. If you've been trying a lot of up down, you want to work left to right. But basically, you want to mix it up, and this is going to make your wall flatter because we're not only working it one way. If you're going up, we're working it across as well. So overall, you will have a flatter wall. This is something you want to learn early, and this is a tip that a lot of plasterers do to make sure they've got ultra flat walls, because you're not going the same motion all the time. So that's what you want to do, mix it up. You've got to learn to wait. When I show you the whole process to plastering, which again you'll be able to get available at the end of this video, you've got to learn to sit down and leave your wall alone. If you keep playing with it, you'll probably end up causing more troubles. I've ran out of tea, so I'm probably going to make another one. And yeah, just have a chill. You've got to learn to sit down and let the plaster do its thing. Nice one. One final tip is mixing it up with the tools and knowing when to use it. This is one thing all plasterers should have, including beginners, because these are unbelievable. This is called a flexi trowel. This one's from Ox. It's called the Ox Ultra Flex. But it doesn't matter which one you get. All flexi trowels, whether it's from Rafina, Naylor, it doesn't really matter in my eyes, but these are game changers. They take so much pressure off your joints, and the finish they leave is unbelievable. They are really good trowels, and for the final sections of plastering, it leaves a superb finish. But it does come with a drawback. You don't want to be using these too early. If you're using these early on down the line, you're not going to get your walls flat, because these bend, they'll twist, they'll move, and basically it'll make your plaster uneven. So the thing is with these, I'd only use these for the final 2 stages of plastering. That's for the final 2 trowels. And if you don't know the process yet, I'm going to go right back to that in a minute. But these should only be used later on down the line. And when you are using them, always use a bit of water because it might pull. So pull in your angles, and then when you are troweling, at this stage plastering, open trowel. Can you see? I've got a nice open angle. This way, all we're doing now is polishing the plaster. Open, clean your trowel back, open trowel. And that, what it does is it, rather than flattening, what we're doing now is polishing the plaster. Open trowel as you're doing it, what you'll find, you'll get a nice smooth flat wall. But like I said, these are the final 2 stages of plastering. This is when it comes to polishing up. So flex trowels are great, but only use them towards the end. Don't use them early. So that is my rules for anyone who's beginning to plaster, or anyone who's been plastered for a while. But if you want to learn the full process, learn how to mix the plaster, learn step by step what to do in terms of how to plaster a wall, learn how to plaster ceilings, then welcome, you can use our welcome course. You simply click the link below, or there should be something beyond here. And from there, it'll take you to a link where you can join and subscribe to our mailing list, where we'll send you videos daily on how to plaster. Ideal for beginners, that's welcome courses. Or anyone who's been plastering a little while but haven't quite mastered it. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I hope you've learned a few tricks on how to plaster a wall, and maybe getting the idea of why a practice wall is so ideal when you're learning, because it really gives you a chance to get to grips with the basic movements of plastering. Once you master these, you can master the trade. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.